Hey guys, my name is Anthony and in today's video I'm going to be talking over WOR Round 9 at Canada. So if you want to see more league racing highlight videos similar to this, make sure to hit the like button, and if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that big red subscribe button as well. This month's goal is to hit 3,000 subscribers, so hopefully we can hit that with the support of you newer viewers. So getting into this race now, I wasn't as confident on this track as I was Baku. With Baku I did a couple of laps of practice before WOR and I found that I was pretty confident around the track, and it actually translated into TSRO as well, as I ended up getting my very first pole in league racing at TSRO at Baku. However, Canada, I wasn't as confident around this track. I did a couple of hours practice, I believe, before this event, and honestly I just didn't really feel as confident around here as I did around Baku, which this is one of the tracks where you're going to get a lot of penalties if you're not careful. And as we come up to the end of the first lap, our banker lap, we end up doing a 9.0, which was actually the slowest banker lap I had done that day. I did about, as I said, 2 hours practice that day, and 9.0 was the slowest banker lap that I had done. But moving on to the second lap that we did in the session now, this was the quickest lap that we ended up doing in the session. So what I'm going to do is leave you guys here and let you see a lap of Canada uninterrupted. So as we're on the back straight going to the Wall of Champions now, this wasn't the best lap. I definitely could have gone faster. In fact, doing a little bit of practice, as you can see we hit the Wall of Champions, doing a bit of practice for TSRO, I actually did an 8.3 as a banker lap, so we could have definitely gone a lot quicker than this, as we did an 8.4. But yeah, it ended up being the fastest lap, and it was good enough to get us in the top 10, and we ended up in 7th place. And as you can see, looking at the conditions there, it was raining. However, it wasn't wet enough on track to go onto the intermediate tyres. So for this race, we're going to be starting on the soft tyres, since that's the fastest lap that we did in the top 10, and we're going to have 2.4 laps of extra fuel. So we're doing a soft, medium, mediums, as we've got 4 lights, 5 lights, and away we go. And this was probably one of the worst conditions to start a race in that I've ever really experienced. As I said, you can see it's raining and the track is getting wetter. However, it's still not wet enough for the intermediate tyres, and it's not going to end up being wet enough for the intermediate tyres. So yeah, pretty horrible conditions, and nobody was expecting to race in conditions like this. As you're about to see, we got some cars going off because no one knows where the braking zone is, and I had to slam on the brakes because the Mercedes ended up spinning, and I thought I was going to crash into the Mercedes. However, the car ghosted at the last moment, so luckily we still got to continue on. However, we did end up losing 2 or 3 positions, so in total we've only lost 1 position on this lap. However, considering we did overtake some people, we've ended up losing about 2 or 3 positions on the opening lap, which it isn't good. As you can see, we dived down the inside of Gibby here, and speaking of, Gibby actually did a very good job of staying on the outside of my car as I was trying to make the move on him. As you can see, he stayed out on the inside of the chicane, and now we're making another dive bomb down the inside to the hairpin as we make a little bit of contact, and I just couldn't get the traction down. I was not confident in these conditions, but Gibby managed to get the traction down a lot better than I did, and as you can see, he stays on the outside and he keeps the position as I end up just deciding to back out. I'm moving on to lap 6 now. We've already pitted by this point for the medium tyres, and as you can see, it stopped raining, so the track's getting drier and drier now, so we're back to normal, relatively normal conditions. And the guy ahead of me in the AlphaTauri worry, he's still on the soft tyres that we started with, so considering I'm on fresh mediums, I'm obviously going to be the quicker car, so we get good traction. And with the DRS, we didn't even really need to use any of our ERS, so we managed to make the move. And at this point, I just wanted to try and catch up with some of the front runners as quickly as I possibly could, because the quicker I could catch up to them, the more potential I have of overtaking them and getting a better position. So moving on to lap 7 now, this is when we catch up to some of the guys who are sort of the front runners, and this is what I wanted to talk about here when it comes to just signaling people, because on this track the pit lane is you're basically on the same line as the guys who are going into the Wall of Champions. And as you can see just now, Constant Ryan just gave a little bit of a signal to let me know that he was going into the pits. And obviously you're entitled to do what you want, you don't have to give the person behind you a signal, but it's just, in my personal opinion, it probably is a bit more fairer if you did, because you know, it just avoids them crashing into you from behind, which is actually what happens to me later on in this race. However, again, you're not obviously entitled to do that, you don't have to do that. And then moving on to lap 9 now, we pretty much catch up with some of the guys who are the front runners now of the race, and we're just trying to battle with them and just trying to make up as much positions as we can. Actually, as Golden Fast ends up overtaking us, what I was trying to do was do a switchback, but I just couldn't get back through because he had covered off just a little bit of not a little bit of the track, he covered off enough of the track for me not to be able to squeeze through, as we end up making an overtake on the Haas here just to try and get back with the guys who are the front runners. And again, it's all about just trying to make as many overtakes in a DRS train as we can. I'll leave a link at the top right hand side of the screen to a video that I recently did a couple of days ago, where I was using Shazoo Aero's footage at his race at Canada to really showcase how you should be overtaking cars in a DRS train. However, we were the back car in this point, and we just wasn't quick enough to really stay within the guys who were ahead of us at that point. And then moving on to lap 16 now, you can see we've caught up with Golden Fast as he actually spins out, which a lot of people in my chat, I did live stream this, a lot of people in my chat were pretty happy that he did that, because according to them, he was being very, very aggressive with me when I was trying to overtake. Personally, I never noticed it, but after I spoke with my wife who was watching the stream, and I looked at some of your guys' comments as we make an overtake over Gibby, and he didn't give us the signal here, so I didn't know that he was going into the pits, and he actually ran into the back of us. But moving on to what we were saying, basically with Golden Fast, he was being quite aggressive according to everyone, and I just never noticed it. But moving all the way to lap 30, because not much else happened, I wanted to show you guys the next couple of laps from the point of view of the Twitch live stream.
This race, so it looks like the best battle going on out there is for 5th place between Onto the Podium and BushiAntz. So we'll see who comes out on top in this one, really, but Schweiz looks pretty comfortable in that place, actually, because those mediums are going to be doing quite a lot worse than those hards, I would suspect, at this rate.
Yeah, and those hards will only be getting better and better as the race goes on, and Schweiz knows he can't close a 17-second gap. If he did, that'd be amazing, but I don't think he will. So all he's doing is focusing all his energy, make sure he uses all his ERS in the correct places just to defend, because he doesn't have to worry about a car in front and a car behind. So he should have a nailed on 4th place here, but onto the podium, he's keeping on the back of him.
Oh, he is, and obviously the DRS is going to help with that, and that's the advantage of having 3 DRS zones on one of the circuits, is that there's so many more opportunities to overtake, and BushiAntz might utilise one of them right now, down to the outside as his teammate's making a move. But he's trying to make one of his own at the moment. Onto the podium, just about gave him a car width going into the hairpin. He's managed to stay in front though. It's now in the DRS and the slipstream and the overtake. They're all using it on Schweiz, but he's going to get trapped. And now Onto the Podium gets down the inside into the final chicane. They fight on the way through. BushiAntz gets a penalty, trying to get a run on both of them. He's only been able to get one on Schweiz, who's having to defend once again, but he's lost 2 positions in the space of a few seconds there. He's going to be very disappointed with that, but he might be able to fight back.
Yeah, that's another commentator experience I put on someone today. I said he could probably hold P4, now he's down to P6 2 corners later.
Yeah, it's always the way, really. And I'm surprised as well, really, because he's got hard tyres on, and they're no older than those mediums. So surely the yellow striped tyres should be doing worse by this point. And you can see by onto the podium slide there that he's really struggling on them. But for some reason, Schweiz really can't make use of those hards for the moment. So he's just sat in behind these guys right now. And he's trying to get past onto the podium. This is a great ding-dong battle between the three of them. But Schweiz decides to just stick behind.
So yeah, as you can see, that was a pretty intense battle for 4th place with me onto the podium and Swizz. And clearly I was the quicker car at that point. I think we were on the freshest medium tyres out of me and onto the podium. So once we got ahead of those two, it was pretty much ours for the taking in 4th place. But I think Presto ended up winning this race, and as we come up to the final corner of the race now, we did end up getting damage on this lap, so we were a little bit slower, but we ended up in 4th place on track, but we ended up getting 5th place due to penalties. And once again, Canada's just one of those tracks where if you're not careful, you're going to end up with a lot of penalties, and we ended up with 12 seconds worth of penalties during this race. So it was a pretty poor performance in terms of penalties, but in terms of just general racing, we did pretty well, and we're definitely improving. I think at the beginning of the season we were qualifying towards the back of the pack and we were finishing towards the middle, but now we're qualifying towards the middle, towards the front, and we're actually finishing towards the front. So we're definitely showing progress. We're definitely getting quicker in terms of our race pace. Our qualifying pace is still a little bit iffy. We still need to improve on that during the season, but in terms of the race pace, we're starting to do really well, and we're clearly improving. So for you guys who are doing league racing and you're still stuck, just keep at it, keep practicing, and just try and improve as much as you can, because you will see improvements as the season goes on. So this is where I'm going to end the video. If you did like this video, make sure to hit the like button once again, and if you're new to the channel, considering subscribing. We're going for 3,000 subscribers this month, so let's see if we can hit it maybe towards the middle of the month. So I'll see you guys in my next video.